Have you tried the lasagna? That's my favorite. Did you catch the game last night? Is it still hot out there? Do you like hot fudge sundaes?
All right. Sorry, I think I muted myself. Welcome, everybody. Hey now. Hey now. Crack open this old Angry Orchard tonight. Oh, yeah. Let me just sip this. Hell yeah. I'm excited tonight, guys. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to good old CHH Live, Planet CHH Live. Tonight's going to be a fun night. If you remember that video I did with Justin, you know, we looked at from Movie Watch Daily, aka the Dead Couch. We looked at his collection, and what we really did though was get a sense of who he is. You know what I mean? We really got a sense of who he is. So, you know, we've got somebody special here tonight, and you know, I think this is gonna be fun because I've never had a deep that deep conversation with this man yet, because the collection tells a lot about the man. So without further ado, everybody, I want you to give a warm Louisiana welcome to America's son, the voice of America, Garrett.
Ooh, the voice of America. I love it. I love it.
Welcome, bro.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you, dude. This is going to be fun, dude. This is going to be a nice little dig deep into the collection. And I brought a bunch of shit out here to showcase and stuff. I mean, I have a lot of stuff, so I was like, all right, let me just see if I can grab maybe some different things that you didn't see in the room tour or anything like that. So, and if you notice, dude, I hooked up the posters for you in the back tonight.
Let me show the people. Oh my god,
I got you.
Dude,
I got you.
Beautiful. Whoa, it's 9. You got 1, 3, 5, and 4. You got 5 in there for me.
Oh yeah, 1, 3, 5. Actually, you know what? I kind of screwed up. I should have went 1, 3, 4, 5. I messed up on the order here, but yeah, I don't have I have 2, but it's not up there. I have it signed by Mr. Patton himself. So
well, like those look good together because you got the 2 blues next to each other.
Actually, you're right. It does kind of go. It kind of looks like I did on purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, Justin Smith, no love for 2. We got a lot.
2 is my favorite, to be honest. It really is.
Same.
So yeah.
I want to welcome everybody here tonight. I'm looking at your comments. I'm looking. We got the regulars: Scratch Burno, Saturn Video, Akeem. What's up, player? Good to see you, Akeem. Dave Vanderhoff, Brandon Houston, Alexis Hara, Ryan O'Leary. What's up? Jeff, Killer Pizza. I mean, Garrett, let's just get into this. How long have you been collecting movie stuff? Has it been a minute?
Yeah, man, it's been. I mean, you know, growing up, I always kind of collected a little bit, but it really got hardcore for me probably senior year of high school. I'm thinking into like college years. So I'm thinking I really started about late, like 99-ish probably. So as you can see, my age is a little bit older than you. So that's when it really started getting pretty heavy, was around like 99 for me. Maybe like a little bit before I was doing some VHS and stuff, but 98, 99, I would say, because I really started to spend a lot of time with my uncle working out and stuff. And that's when he was really introducing me to like a lot of stuff when it came to collecting and whatnot. So it's been pretty hardcore since then, man. So, you know, a lot of people see my stuff and whatnot and my collection, be like, oh my God, like how do you have so much stuff? Because it's taken a long time. That's how, you know, it's been over 20 years for sure. Probably 25 years total at this point, like of really like hardcore collecting, mostly physical media, but everything else kind of trickled in its own little way.
Like when you were a kid, was your family a buy a VHS kind of family, or was it just straight rentals? Or
no, it was rentals and like record off television. That's what we were growing up. The only one in my family that was really buying a lot was my uncle, and him and I were very close. And you know, for Christmas, occasionally we'd get like the big blockbuster of the year. Like for instance, we had the actual VHS of Ghostbusters, of Back to the Future, of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, of Batman, of Jurassic Park, of, you know, Speed. Like I'm just thinking of the big ones that we would get. Probably like 2 or 3 VHS tapes a year. Roger Rabbit was one that we had in the collection that was a legit copy. A ton of Godzilla stuff my uncle used to buy me. So Those were all legit copies, but more or less, I was really discovering things early off of television and recording them on like around Halloween and putting them on tapes. And, you know, like I look back and I'm like, I wonder if I still have some of those burnt tapes like at my mom's house, because I'm sure seeing all those television versions and the commercials in between would be pretty cool to kind of go back and watch now.
Mm. Do you still have a lot of your childhood tapes that you might have gotten?
Most of them. I did like sadly, one of the worst things I ever did was I purged my probably 90% of my VHS collection about 2007, 2008. I just needed room. I was still living with my parents. My room was like posters, and I had DVDs like in piles up to here on the floor. I had no space, and it was like I just had this one big rack full of VHS tapes, and I was like, you know what? Everything I own on DVD, I'm just gonna sell it. So I put them all in trash bags and met some guy in like a parking lot. He gave me $80 and I gave him about 200-300 horror VHS tapes. So some of my childhood stuff got kind of lost in that, but I did manage to keep most of like the childhood stuff. But then also I kept like the big franchises and movies that maybe I didn't own on DVD up until then and stuff. So but yeah, that was a shitty thing I did. Never should have did it.
Let me ask you this, Garrett. You know, when I look at a guy like you, you're very fit. You're a fitness guy. You know, you do this stuff. There are a lot of times these are guys that before they got into this, were you a heavy set kid? Were you ever? And
Never.
You did the flip. So where does the fitness, like, where does it come from? You know what I mean? Because most people, where does that come from?
You know, there's a lot to it. So the first thing was obviously growing up and what I was really into, and everything, you know, was guys in really good shape. I was a huge Arnold nut, pro wrestling. So everything I was looking up to, I was like, dude, like this is what it means to be an adult. Like I need to be jacked. I need to be that's just, I always saw these like larger than life people. And, you know, back in the day, being a huge baseball fan and stuff, like everybody was just gigantic. Right. And I wasn't, I actually was very small. I was probably the smallest kid in my whole grade. And that's kind of what turned me into fitness is I was tiny. I was a freshman in high school. I was 5 feet tall, 85 pounds. It was embarrassing. I was puny, and I was good at sports, and that was the thing. And played all my life, got on all-star teams, travel teams. And then as I started to get older, you know, baseball, I lost power. I was too small. I stopped playing. Basketball, I didn't have any height. I stopped playing. Soccer, I kind of hung in there for a little bit. Junior year, I got cut after playing high school soccer for a couple of years. And then it was like, you're too small, man. And I'm like, well, shit, what am I going to do now? And then my uncle, you know, he was a bodybuilder, and he's like, you want to start working out? And I'm like, yeah, actually I do. And that's where it started for me, was like working out with him probably junior year in high school, and then just really seeing how much that changed me physically, and it also changed me mentally, like so much more confidence once I started seeing like that my physique was changing and stuff. And that's kind of where it all started. And it was just one of those things where it's like, I'm never going to stop. And, you know, I've tapered off a little bit just due to other things in life. Like I'm not an hour and a half, 2 hours, 6 days a week in the gym like I was throughout my 20s when I was single and going to nightclubs and shit like that. Like I was, you know, it was like GTL, man, for sure. Like way back before Jersey Shore was even a thing, like was like my life. And in the process, I was still like collecting horror and stuff like that. But for most people that would see me out and about, they would have no idea. In college and stuff, they would have no idea until they came to my house that I was into all this shit, you know,
Was it calculated to did you hide the horror? Because
I didn't hide it, really. It was never a topic of conversation until I really got to know somebody, and then it became a topic of conversation. They knew, you know, I was always like this. Like everybody kind of that knew me was like, okay, he looks this way, but you know, his brain thinks very differently, you know. Very nerdy on the inside.
Before we start looking at stuff from your collection, why did you take if you talk about the confidence, you talk about, and I see it, you know, I see it in you. Why did you not start the channel years ago?
You know what? I think what it was I'm a very aesthetic guy, and obviously that looks back into the fitness thing. Like I'm not gonna bullshit. I'm not gonna say in my 20s I wasn't hardcore into lifting before I realized I was going to do it as a career because I wanted chicks. Like I'm not going to say that wasn't the case. I mean, that absolutely was the case. And, you know, through college and stuff, it was a big thing. So aesthetically was always a big reason for me. Number one, aesthetically, like, okay, I want to have a nice backdrop. I don't want to just be sitting on my couch. I want to have, and I didn't have the equipment to do that. Number one. And number two, the confidence was there. The confidence is there to talk on camera. The confidence wasn't there, I think, in the sense of like, would people give a shit? Basically, I think it was like, would people care? And back then it was mostly people doing a lot of like vlogs, right? And I wasn't going to do that. Yeah. So I was more or less going to do what I'm doing now. But back then it was like vlogging was a huge thing for this. But I was watching YouTube and I wanted to do YouTube for a long, long time. And I don't know what it was that just kind of held me back. I think it was, I don't know. I really don't know. I always gave myself excuses. Either I was too busy or I didn't have the right equipment or how am I going to fit this into my work schedule? Those were all the things I thought about. And to be honest, I have more on my plate now than I did back then. So I probably should have started back then.
Do you have any regrets about it? Or do you think it all worked out the way it should?
I'm very much in the vein of everything happens for a reason. If there's an obstacle, there's always an opportunity. I'm very much in that mindset. I think it was the perfect time when it happened. I think the channel's really kind of blossomed the way I wanted it to in a short time. But I also do think that I kind of, instead of being considered like a newer channel, at this point, I would be probably more of like a veteran channel, I think. So like a couple, getting in early, I think would have helped because, not many people were doing this, where now you're trying to break through a very somewhat saturated community and, not in a negative way, but just, it's cool to see so many people into this stuff. But, if I kind of got my foot in the door early, just like anything else, it's always, I think, a plus when it comes to just like, people finding you basically.
So you don't consider yourself a pandemic channel?
I do, because I mean, it's true. Like it sucks to say, but that's really when it happened, is that I had time, I had equipment because I had to buy this all for work. And then I was like, shit, man, like if I'm going to do this, it needs to be now. And that kind of was it. And it just happened to be right place at the right time when Dead Pit was like really trying to get back in. And we weren't sure the status of Uncle Bill, and Wes and I had been friends for a while, and we were even doing stuff with Piz. And we kind of were like, all right, now's the time. If we're going to do, if Wes, like, if I'm going to come back, like, let's do some stuff together and you do your own channel. And we'll and that's kind of how it all really, like, they were really the kicker of like me finally being like, all right, let's go. Because in my head, I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm going to be an important part of Dead Pit. Like, these are only people that I listened to and watched for years. And now he's coming to me and being like, start your channel now and we'll keep each other accountable before we figure out what Uncle Bill's doing. And, that was really just like, holy shit. Like, for me, it was an opportunity because I was like, I would have never in a million years thought I'd be doing a show with these guys, So it kind of just was like, again, everything kind of happened for a reason, I think.
Yeah. So how instrumental were they to you getting into, was Dead Pit instrumental to you becoming a physical media collector, or was that a natural step in your life beforehand, sort of thing? In terms of physical media, like DVDs and things like that.
They weren't, they were just more like, they were in the same vein as me as anybody else around that time that was doing this stuff. I was already collecting at that point. They were the ones that were kind of telling me either like, hey, this is coming out, or, this movie's great. And if I never heard of it, I'm like, oh shit, I better track it down. Like, I was using them more as resources. Same thing I was doing with like people, even like Cool Duder and Wet Movie and Piz Owl and these people, like those were the big four. And even people like B Junior, I don't even know if you remember him, but he was another big time guy in Barry, in the community too. So these were like a lot of channels. Even Justin Ryan was around way back then. And, I was even watching his stuff to kind of get some ideas, and he was like a little kid, at the time.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of crazy how now it's like a lot of these people I've collabed with and whatnot. So
for me, there was a jumping off point to getting into like collecting stuff, whether it be, Jason figures like this or whatever. There has to be a first. There has to be a first. I don't know if you pulled that to the side or if you want to tell me about it to kind of launch us off. For me, it was a silver champagne novelty Sean Clark Halloween 3 mask. I got that for my birthday. My wife got it for me, and it created this. Do you have that kind of, is there that memento in your collection that this is the jumping off point?
I can say, physical media was always there. Collecting was always there. If I, not collecting in like I'm keeping it in packages, but you know, as a kid, I was growing up during the ages of Ninja Turtles, Ghostbusters, all these action figures that were just cartoons that turned action figures. And it wasn't just like, hey, I'll buy a couple. It was like, if I'm gonna work on this line, like I'm collecting everything. So anything like that back in the day, I considered, you know, a collecting mindset. But I think when it really came to like horror stuff and not just collecting physical media, I do have a couple things here that were very early into my collecting when it was like, hey, I'm going to start buying a little bit more than just movies. Mm-hmm. And where the heck is it? This item here is one of the early ones that I grabbed from Suncoast. And it's this bad boy here. God. It's a McFarlane Chucky, and it's from 2001. So I got this at Suncoast way back in the day. He's still in excellent condition.
Can I speak to the manager haircut?
He has like a little Karen cut. But I always wanted a life-size Chucky. That was like one thing I always wanted, and it never existed. When I saw this and saw the features on his face and stuff, I was like, wow, I've never seen anything this realistic for a Chucky ever. And even though he's really small, this was kind of like what it was doing for me for a while. And
but he's not half bad.
No, you know? And you know what? I think my camera is not showing it good. He's pretty detailed.
Well, I could tell. It looks like it's you know.
He's got a really sinister look on his face, and he's still in great shape. And he turns, and he's like I said, he came out in 2001. That was one, and then obviously the other ones were like shit like this. These are some packaged ones, like these McFarlane. Like,
oh man,
I sold a lot of these, but this one I kept. This was of Jason Goes to Hell.
That's great.
And then this was another one I have. Elm Street.
What stores were you getting this at? Was this at like Suncoast Video?
Yeah, these were Suncoast. I was finding these at, and there was also a store in my area called Newberry Comics, which sold a lot of this kind of stuff. So those were the main spots I was kind of grabbing those, and I was really starting to collect like the McFarlane figures, and then it kind of turned into NECA. But I went through a period where I started to sell a lot of those off because they stay pretty valuable, and I wanted money for other shit, right. And I ended up like selling a bunch off. But those ones I kept, and two grails of mine these are the only other figures I brought to the table tonight. And these have gotten really valuable because they don't ever make Lost Boys shit ever anymore.
I didn't even know this existed.
So yeah, this is a NECA cult classic. You got the Michael and David. These are really, really pricey now because only time that NECA's really messed with Lost Boys. So it was just really cool to kind of see that.
Because now you don't strike me as the figure kind of guy. Is that an incorrect assumption on you, or?
A little bit. I mean, I am, but at the same time, I have to, at this point, find where like I have to start cutting boundaries, right? I have a lot of figures, man. Like you'll see on my room tour too that I've got a shit ton of figures. If it's not wrestling figures, it's NECA figures, because I've always been an action figure guy, even since I was a little kid. Like it was a point in time where I put all my action figures away because I knew I had to, because I was like getting too old. It wasn't that I wanted to, it was I forced myself to do it.
Right.
Because I was like, oh, I'm getting too old now. None of my friends have action figures and wrestling figures. I got to put these away. And a lot of my shit got thrown out growing up. So I've always been just really addicted to action figures. So for me now, I try not to, like, there might be a couple lines that I'm really interested in. Like there's a Back to the Future NECA line that I'm really just trying to stay complete with. There's a Ninja Turtles, the movie NECA line that I'm trying to stay complete with.
Yeah.
They had a lot of those like NECA, like the cloth ones. I have like all the Elm Streets, all the Friday the 13th. Like I stick to some stuff like that, but I mean, I'm not getting everything at this point. But if I go down an aisle and see a wrestling figure that's, a retro guy or whatever, I mean, I'm definitely putting that in my cart. No questions asked.
When you look at something like you just pulled up your Chucky that you got, is there a certain period of time that you have it to where it's grandfathered in, you'd never sell it? You know what I mean?
I think exactly it. That I would probably never sell, only because we talked about, it was one of the first. Like to me, that's just so important because it's that nostalgia. Did I? I think out of nostalgia, I would never sell it, just because it's one of those things. To me, it would be like if I would ever sell my original, I don't know, Hulk Hogan Hasbro. Like, I just wouldn't do it because it means it's a point in time in my life that it's not worth money. So same thing with the Chucky. I probably wouldn't sell it. It's displayed, but it's kind of hidden off in a different room. But I just think just the nostalgia purposes of it.
Yeah. So what can we kind of get into? I don't know if you have a chronological kind of stuff that you've pulled aside, or if you want me to just kind of just bring up ideas. Because like for me, I want to know, like, do you remember one of the first bigger purchases you made where here's the thing, Garrett, and I don't even know if you had anything like this, but I've been wanting to do a video about this. People ask me about busts and masks all the time. And when I always be blatant with them. I would say, look, you can have fun with your Trick or Treat Studio stuff, but it is what it is. It's store brand stuff. If you want a good Jason, if you want something, you got to pay money. And I'm not asking you if you have a bust, but I'm asking, what was the first thing you ever got where you said, I'm going to suck it up. I'm going to get this really nice thing. And I'm going to hold on to it. Do you have anything like that?
I have some stuff around. I don't know if it was my first, but they were pretty early on. But yeah, that's the one thing. And I know you and I have talked about it before, is that the bust game was something I never got into that I kind of wish I did, because they're just so rad. And that's another thing too. Like, I'm looking at my space and I'm like, I wouldn't even know where to put them. Like, I have room for like one good one. Like, if I can find one legit one that I can have displayed at the top of a shelf, like, I would do it. But when it comes to like expensive things that I kind of purged on, I'm going to get up and grab this thing over here, because this is one of the early ones, because I'm such a huge fan of this movie. I just don't want to break it.
Okay.
And you did see it in my room tour, but I didn't go in real depth with it. But this was a cool piece. It's oh boy,
I'm not liable.
I know. It's the Phantasm Sphere piece. And it's real metal in there. I mean, this thing is heavy as shit. And like, oh, I said shit again. And all those like spikes and stuff are so sharp in there. And I could take it out as well.
I got a Sphere too, but it's not in the case. Guys, I'm going straight Pepsi's the rest of the show. So old CHH ain't getting drunk.
Now this thing is just it might be the one that you have. It could be very similar, but it's heavy. These things are super sharp.
It looks
and
exactly
this is one
like
of those.
Mine's got blood on the tips though. You probably didn't get that. You probably didn't get that version.
No, this is one of the early. I can't even remember. I probably got this in maybe 2010, maybe. I would say I probably got that, and that was probably one of the bigger item purchases I had purchased outside of anything like movie related, like physical media. But at the time, I wasn't spending a lot of money on physical media really, because that was the DVD days. I was getting things pretty cheap actually.
Where were you buying your DVDs at? Were you an Amazon guy before it was even cool, or?
Amazon was there. I did Amazon UK a couple times. eBay was always there. Deep Discount was my main go-to for a long time. That was like the main spot, because they were the only people at the time that were doing like free shipping.
Yeah.
So I was really big on Deep Discount back then. And there was some stores here called Movie Stop, which I'm actually planning on doing a big, like kind of like a rad memory show on, because it was a game changer in my collecting back then. And it was basically a movie place based off GameStop owned it. It was called Movie Stop, had the same logo, and they just sold movies. And man, I that's how I built my Scream Factory collection. I was on some like special thing with them where every time a Scream Factory title came out, they would just put it aside, and I would come in and get like the new releases for the week. And yeah, it was nuts, man. Like I built my whole collection on there. And because I was buying so much, and it was on like an automatic pre-order, I'd always get like money knocked off of like retail price. It was a real cool vibe. And they were selling Blu-rays and DVDs and stuff like used for like nothing. So I would walk in there and they'd have just like a horror section from wall to wall with like $1.99 used. And I was just making like huge stacks. And that helped me a lot when it came to my collection. That and a place, Newberry Comics. I was buying a lot of used.
Newberry Comics. I think I heard you. Yeah, you mentioned them. Let me ask you something, Garrett, before we continue. How important was it to you, or was it not even a thing you thought about when you made your channel to open it up and not make it just horror? Because I went through a crisis a few years ago. Was this even something that crossed your mind? because obviously you're big in horror, but we were at this point. I've talked to you about a lot of movies. It's not, there's a lot
Right.
to you. You like a lot of stuff. Was it not even something you thought about when you made your channel? Like, of course I'm not gonna, like, what are you talking about? Just do horror? Of course I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, that was a big deal. And that had a lot to do with the name too. I knew with the name, I knew it could kind of branch me off from just horror. Like it would be like nostalgia, 80s, 90s, retro, all different things, because I don't want to be really narrowed down to one specific thing. I don't even want to be known as just a physical media channel either. Like my brain, I'm thinking of like so many different avenues that I just want to be able to kind of have bits and pieces of little things within my channel. So yeah, I knew from day one that I didn't want to kind of pigeonhole myself into one area. And that's why I made it a point to like kind of do different things about, let's talk about memories, about movies and such. And let's talk about horror. Let's do, now we can do Corey Haim stuff, and now we can do 80s comedies. Like I always knew that I wanted it to be more than just narrowed down to either horror or only physical media. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, like I'm this ain't about me, but when I say I was this close to just like telling my wife, I was like, Sydney, we're about to lose a little bit of income. I'm done with YouTube. I can't do it anymore. I'm gonna blow my brains out. I can't do it. I'm sick and tired of. So, I just think it's smart that you did that.
And I can't believe you were actually able to continue. I mean, again, I think like you said, I know we had talked about it, and you're like, how many times can I talk about Halloween 6? Like I can only talk about that so many times before I want to flip. You know what I mean? And I agree. Like it is very narrowing to your channel, and to you as a person, right? To like have all this love for stuff and kind of feel like you're not sure if you can talk about it. And again, I see it. My numbers aren't as big as yours, but if I do a video talking about wrestling figures, that video doesn't do well because, that's not really what I'm about. But at the same time, I want to be comfortable with, I don't care. I'm just going to do it anyways,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not even that I need to just do random stuff sometimes, but I like to know that I've got that ability or that freedom to do it.
Sure.
So that just, yeah. But obviously, because of that, you probably collect more than just horror stuff. I mean, I see your cool hoverboard back there, and your My Pet Monster, which is so cool. I wish mine had the chains. Mine doesn't have the chains on it.
It's hard to get that. And if you notice, I don't know how yours are, but it's hard to find ones with like the hands and feet all intact because those things ripped easy.
Mine are ripped.
It's very hard to find ones that aren't worn, and luckily mine aren't worn at all. But I mean, who's to say? It could be sitting there forever, and one little thing nicks it, and all of a sudden it's going to tear because it's that fragile. It's about as fragile as those damn Evil Dead books, because mine have been sitting there forever, and I'm always like, mine are fine. And I walked over the other day and touched it, and that cover is like it's brittle. Like it feels like it's like a potato chip. I'm like, if I take this thing, if I move this thing, it's gonna crumble. Yeah. And I said for years, like, I don't know why everybody's breaking. Mine been sitting there, they're fine. Oh, they look fine. But as soon as I try to touch it, it's game over.
Yeah, it's great, man. I like that. What else do you have, man? I want to see what else you pulled aside, and we can.
Well, speaking of hoverboard, this is one of my big purchases through the years. This is the Marty skateboard from part 1. Now, this company, Madrid, did this line, I think maybe in 2015 when it was like the Back to the Future 2 future year or whatever, 2015. And they came out, I think, with like maybe 100 of these boards. And they basically they basically built it to match the board that Marty had. So these are all new pieces that replicates that complete board. This was a pretty expensive item. But it's one that I'll cherish forever because Back to the Future is like my all-time favorite movie, and just such a cool design. And it was really killer that they came out and did an actual replica board for that board that he had in the movie. And they were the ones who built it the first time. So for them to come back and kind of throw it together for a little 2015, what do you call it? Where they build it in honor of the movie or whatever. Like it was just really cool that they did that. So that was one of my big purchases for sure. Let me see what else I got over here. Oh, you'll like this one, dude. Look at this.
What you got? A Teddy Ruxpin?
Ooh, in box, baby. He still works too.
Oh my god. Is that the ones that you put the cassette in their gut?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How long have you had? Hold on, let me see. Let me see Teddy. Hold on, bring that Teddy back. You know, Garrett, you know what's crazy? My family had one and we sold it right before Katrina. Like my mom and dad even knew that at that 2005 they were collectible, right? So my
Oh, these
mom and
things have
dad
been collectible.
sold
Yeah.
them. They sold the Teddy Ruxpin.
Yeah.
Is that your Teddy Ruxpin?
This is not my brother. This was it's not my brother's. My brother, this was his favorite toy as a kid. And we loved that thing and we used to listen to it all the time. And randomly, I think when he went to college or something, my mom was like clearing out his room and his was busted. His was busted up. And I was a little bit older than him. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna try to find a new one. And I did, and I found it in box. And I'm thinking to myself, like, there's no way I'm giving this to him. I'm keeping this thing.
Could you put random, like whatever kind of cassettes you wanted in Teddy?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you could put Wasps,
Yep.
Crimson Idol, and a Teddy.
You could. Oh yeah, you could. And he would rock out to it for sure.
Oh man. Are you an
So-
eBay digger? Do you constantly, or I say constantly, do you kind of like do you have searches that you save if there's little things here and there that you're looking for?
For sure, yeah, there always is. But and nowadays it's very hard to sneak something by. Back in the day when eBay was kind of new, you could find gold in there, man. You could find a ton of stuff because there's not a lot of people on it. Number one, and number two, a lot of the sellers didn't know how to even use it. So like sometimes you'd like misspell something and by accident, and then like what you're looking for popped up and it was misspelled and it had like 0 bids because like the guy misspelled it on his listing. So you're like, oh shit, like I just got this for nothing,
Yeah.
because they weren't really familiar with how it all worked. But I do have things saved. I mean, there's a lot out there that I'm still after. But I know to find something at a price I'm willing to pay is like needle in a haystack at this point. So that's the difference, is that I'm still budgeted. I'm still not like, I don't have all the money in the world. I don't have Sean Clark money or anything close to that. Right. So there's only so much I can have. Like these two Chucky dolls over here that I did reviews on, I didn't bring them over, but the NECA Chucky and Tiffany that just came out are probably like the two coolest items I have. And those are like so close to perfect. I spent, I mean, those were $500 a piece. So when those came out, I dropped like $1,000 right off the bat on those things, which the worst part about it was that they didn't show up for like 4 years. So, have given NECA all that. Well, I actually gave them like half. And then all of a sudden I get a random charge on my card like 4 years later. And it's like, they're coming. I'm like, okay, thanks for letting me know.
And you got a Chucky behind you on the wall.
Mhm.
So, I mean, you must, I'm not saying this like sarcastically. You must really be a big fan of Child's Play. You must have watched that as a kid growing up and it affected you, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I love Child's Play. Love all of them. I think what it is though is it was one of those items that I've always wanted. A life-size Chucky was something I wanted since I was a kid, since I saw the movie for the first time, to adult, and I started collecting, and I just never thought it would be a thing. And it always boggled my mind how they couldn't just make one. Like I didn't get it. I was like, what's the problem? Like just make the box, make Chuck. Even Spencer had those other ones, but they weren't legit.
I was gonna ask, you never wasted your time with that, did you?
I did actually, but as like a placeholder, but they didn't last long. As soon as Trick or Treat Studios put that thing up for pre-order, I sold those. I had Chucky and Tiffany. I do regret never grabbing Glenda because I saw him a lot and I was like, just passed him up.
Now
and then all of a sudden he's so valuable. Yeah. And that's an item I still would love to get, is that Glenda doll. But I do know Spirit's coming out with a new Glenda. So I'm going to just probably grab that and call it a day.
Well, do you remember I was in the market for Chucky 2 when I first got into collecting stuff around 2010-ish. And I would have to go on eBay and I would find this Dream something Japan stuff, Chucky dolls that they were making.
I remember that. Yeah. It had like really wild hair kind of, right?
But they were expensive. And it was just like such a pipe dream. Did you ever come close to pulling the trigger on anything like that?
Yeah. I think Sideshow did one for Bride, because I remember I had all the stitches, and I had that in my Amazon watch list for a long time, or eBay watch list for a long time, but it was like $1,500 or something. And I can just remember sitting there always looking at it. I'm like, I'm going to buy this one day. I'm going to buy. And then eventually Trick or Treat Studios announced that they were coming out with this one. So that's when I just started like deleting that, getting my, selling off a lot of my half-assed Chucky dolls and being like, all right, the real one's coming. And that's a great item too. So that's why I still will get some Chuckies, because it was just something I always wanted. But I think I'm pretty happy with the ones I have. Like I may get that ultimate and throw like the Tommy face on it when it comes out, but I'm not in a rush. These are the ones I got. I got the one with the stitches. I got Tiffany. I got the good guy. I mean, that's really, and I got a plush one. Those are really the ones I need.
Yeah, you don't strike me as a remake fan. You probably saw it and you're like, ah, this is all right, but I'm moving on. Am I right?
I moved on, but I actually didn't think it was a bad remake, and I wouldn't mind getting a damn Buddy doll if that thing was for sale, I'd buy one.
A Buddy doll, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it had a cool look. I mean, I think if they would have called him Buddy and not Chucky, and then just kind of ran with it almost as a spin-off with like a different doll, I would have probably enjoyed it a lot better than trying to give us what we've already had. Like, that's the thing. You can make a Child's Play movie all you want, but change the character, make it something different. Have then eventually maybe you have Chucky meet Buddy. Like, who the hell knows? But to just pretend that's Chucky, I don't like that. I think they could have did it a better way, and I think he would have been accepted a little bit different and better as well.
I feel you. What else you got, Garrett? Show me something else.
This is
see, I could just see stuff behind you, and I could be like,
this is pretty cool.
Yeah, when you showed this off in your video room tour, I was mesmerized by this.
It's the reagent with the. I could take it out.
Like, where does this come from? It's in a case with a lid and a door on it.
I don't remember where I got this, man, and I'm actually looking around to see if it tells me where it came from. I don't remember.
Not at first I thought it was some kind of bougie physical media release,
No.
That
there's the syringe. You know what though? I for a long time, this was always something I wanted. I made my own reagent and syringe for a long time. If you look at, I could probably post some old pictures from my Facebook or something, but I had made my own and they were fine. They were cool. I kept trying to figure out how to make like the liquid glow. And I mean, I tried slime. I put like, I think I put like some kind of like car wash in it that was green. Like, I actually crushed up freaking high what are the damn things like the glow sticks? I would crush those up and put them in the syringe. Like, I tried everything. And it was hard to kind of find what worked. And I don't know what the heck this person did, but it worked really well. I don't know what kind of liquid that is or whatever, but I remember doing it for so long and never could find the right formula. Like the glow sticks worked great, but then when they were dead and done, it was just yellow piss looking shit in there. It didn't look good.
Let the audience get a good look at this again, if you don't mind, because I mean, it's just so unique. And I got so many good memories when I think about this movie, Garrett. Is that like a little LED right there on the top?
Yeah. So like on the top, it's like a black light almost. And it kind of makes these glow a little bit more. When it's off, it still looks nice, but I mean, it doesn't give it that like super glow that it has without it. So, but yeah, I thought that was a cool item. And to be honest, I wish I knew where I got it. I have no recollection of where I bought it. I got it online. I know that. I just don't remember who did it. And it doesn't say anywhere on it, like anybody's name or anything like that.
Yeah, it struck me when I saw it in your video. It struck me as just, I could tell. I was like, I just feel like he's had this for a long time.
Probably got it. Yeah, I'm going to guess I had that maybe. I probably bought that in maybe 2012, 2013, if I had to guess. Probably around that time.
And was that something you just kind of came across, or were you looking up like Re-Animator Prop, or what? I
was looking up a lot of Re-Animator stuff because I was at that point I was trying to make it myself. So I bought like a syringe that you would get at Walmart for turkeys or whatever, like the turkey
basters
syringe. Yeah, because it was a big syringe, and it's actually the same syringe that they use in here.
Yeah.
And then what I would do is then I would open it and I would try to put different stuff in there to make it glow and make it green. And then I had like a little bottle that actually matched the reagent bottle better than this one did. And it was like, I don't know, it was like, it must've had like vanilla liquid in it or something. I would pour it out and put the green stuff in it. And I used that to hold me over for years. And then when I just couldn't get it right, I looked online to try to see if I could find somebody that maybe was either doing them better or had like a solution I could buy or whatever. And I came across this thing and I was like, you know what, this will do the trick. So I bought it.
That's killer. You probably have 1,000 issues of Re-Animator on DVD and Blu-ray. I'm sure you've got the Anchor Bay Blu-ray. You got the Anchor Bay green DVD, right?
Mm-hmm. The big thick one. Yep.
So that's a movie you probably fell in love with the first time you saw it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite horror movies. It was one that I just really fell in love with. So that's a movie that I'll always kind of rebuy. I have a bunch of different versions of it. Oh, the only one I don't have really left is obviously Laserdisc because I never got into them. And that's the one thing that you and I have, nothing in common with is that to me, Laserdiscs were like a facade. Like it didn't exist in my world. And it was because I only knew one person that owned a couple and then I never saw them at stores. So it just didn't feel like it was real. It felt almost like the only people that knew about it were like the underground movie collectors that,
right.
the adults with a lot of money that collected movies just kind of knew where these were because it's not like I saw them at the stores to ever consider buying them. But my Re-Animator VHS, it was part of the purge. So I lost that, never had the Laserdisc. But as far as DVD, Blu-ray and all that stuff, I've got quite a bit, at least most of them that came out here in the States. I don't have a lot of like imports and stuff, but Re-Animator, I definitely have a lot.
Why did you never go on eBay and just say, well, hell, I mean, let me just go look at the Laserdisc? Because like they did I have two versions, the 80s media regular, and then there's a 94, 95 elite Laserdisc released with this gorgeous gatefold, original new artwork they made for it. It's beautiful. You never were like, well, let me just see if I can get it cheap.
No, you know why? Because I was at the time, I was like, okay, where am I going to put it? How am I going to store it? Am I going to put it in a frame? And then I didn't have a player. So I was like, what's the point on spending all this money? And plus at the time, Laserdiscs were expensive. So it was like it was definitely one of those things where I was like, do I buy this or do I just continue to buy more and more horror movies? And that's what was happening at the time of DVD. Like I've got so much crap. That's the thing. And that's what I'm trying not to do now. Like everything horror I was buying. Garbage, not garbage. If it was in the horror section, I didn't own it, I was buying it. And that's kind of what my DVD collection is like. Like sometimes I've showed you movies that I have and it's like, I don't even know why I have this, Like you did those videos on on the Living Dead ones. And it's like, I have Living Dead 3D and I was excited for that one. I have that Living Dead reanimation. And I looked at it the other day after your video and I'm like, watching your video and I was like, I don't remember this. So I went and I was like, I know I have it and I grabbed it. It's not even opened. I was like, I never watched it. That's why I don't remember it. I have so much crap on DVD.
Was that a good time for you as a collector though?
Oh, the best.
Did it seem like, I hate to use the word, like you kind of said like, it's not even a YouTube thing, but just like do you almost like wish horror was a little bit more underground selfishly to where it didn't seem like it was, you know what I mean?
I think the biggest thing now is it's hard to say. Like I was a lot more of a quantity collector back then, and now I'm a little more of a quality collector, but that's kind of the nature of the beast now. The problem is that they're making a lot of the stuff that was just a quantity buy into a quality buy now. So now it's like kind of getting confusing where you're like, wait, I've seen this movie and I thought this was like
you can just say vinegar. You can say vinegar syndrome.
But yeah, vinegar syndrome put it out, and all of a sudden you'll be like, oh my god, do I need this again?
This is the most underrated movie ever.
Like and that's what's hard because you then your mind starts playing tricks on you and stuff because you're like, well, there's no way they're gonna give that piece of crap this kind of love. Like this, it's got to be better than what I remember. Or was the DVD just such poor quality? And I've had that happen before. Like, dude, I was never a fan of Tourist Trap. The DVD I had looked so bad that I like couldn't even get through it. It was dark. I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. I bought the Full Moon Blu-ray and I was like, this freaking movie is absolutely amazing. And I hated it for all these years because the DVD quality was so terrible that I feel like I didn't even know what was going on half the time. And now I'm a huge fan of that movie.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So I always second guess myself sometimes because I'm always like, well, maybe the DVD was bad and I don't really get the good feel for it,
Do you blind buy much anymore, or do you kind of just wait to see, or what? Because when you're in the YouTube game too, sometimes these people look at us to, should I get this?
Sure.
So sometimes you got to jump and just suck it up and get these titles.
Yeah, the worst thing that's going on now that I'm really falling for, and I kind of kick myself for it, is that the most blind buying I'm doing is mostly Vinegar Syndrome stuff. Because I love their label and I think what they're doing and the quality they put in these editions is great. And the whole limited thing really freaks me out because when you go on their site and all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, this movie's got 25 copies left, and if I don't even know what it is, I'll buy it out of the idea of like, if it sucks, I'll sell it. If I like it, I'll keep it, kind of thing. So I find myself getting in that situation where I just start buying things that are going out of print, like just in case. I would hate to like find out I love it and then it be totally gone. Like, so I find myself doing that, which I really kind of get pissed at myself for because I end up getting a lot of crap. And then I never even have time to ever watch it to figure out if I even want it or not. Like that's the one area that I wish I was better, is to not give a shit if I miss out on something like that.
Do you think it's evil what Vinegar Syndrome does? A little bit. I mean, you can be honest with me.
Of
A little
course,
bit.
man.
A little bit. It's a little evil.
The thing is, I give Vinegar Syndrome the most credit ever in the world, because they get the game. They get it. They know what the collectors want, and they're doing it. Like, I mean, I can't fault them for that. I mean, my biggest concern with Vinegar Syndrome is that I just don't want them to get too big that they start making mistakes, because in my opinion, they've done everything right so far. And when it comes to what collectors want and figuring out how to create a brand behind, you know, not garbage per se, but I mean, man, like they've built such a huge community on subpar movies, and that's crazy to me. And what's happening now is that they've actually given, and that's the one thing, like they've given themselves opportunity now to put out things like Roadhouse, to put out things that other people aren't getting, because they built such a strong following on junk.
They can afford the license. I mean, they got Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Are you kidding me?
Like,
can you imagine Scream Factory letting that go?
No,
I can't. I still can't believe it. I own it, and I still have to like grab it and be like, no, this says Vinegar Syndrome on it.
And that's the thing. They've proven themselves through this model of, you could even say, tricking the consumer, right? But I mean, they do a fantastic job. I mean, I just bought like Night Screams. I had never seen it. It was a low budget 80s slasher movie. The thing looked like it came out yesterday. And I'm like, how the hell are they making these movies look this freaking good? Like, they're killing it, man. And I cannot fault them for that. My only concern, though, is it's like, you know, they keep coming out with different lines like VSA, which I like, VSU, VSL. Now they're bringing in comic books, and it's like, holy shit. Like, are you going to get to a point where the collector's going to be, I can't do all of this anymore because they're getting too big. So now it's like, they're in a comic book. They have a new comic book side of it where they're putting, have you seen the zombie one coming out? Mm-hmm. It's nuts. And people are like, oh, I can't wait to get that. I haven't had, you know, I didn't buy the last time it came out on Blu-ray. I'm like, no, there's no movie in here. Like, this isn't the movie. You're getting books. And if they can start getting licenses for these kind of books, and if people are into this stuff, like, that's a whole new market. But at the same time, like, imagine spending a couple $100 on their new releases and then wanting to buy their new comic book collection. I mean, you're going to go through one drop at like $500-$600 deep. Gone.
That's incredible. Yeah.
And I mean, you can't fault them, but you know, you just don't want them to get too big for their britches where people start kind of turning on it a little bit. And that's the hard part.
I got a dark theory, Garrett. I'm gonna say my theory first for the first time publicly on Vinegar Syndrome. I'm convinced some of these movies that for a lot of people they haven't seen, and you say, how are they restoring these movies in 4K? They look great. These movies are brand new. They're shooting these movies with old 80s. They're getting people cutting their hair like they're from the 80s. These are new movies that they're shooting.
Oh my God.
And they're saying it's from 1983.
Hey, I see Bog Zombie saying that these are just kind of a rip on a different version. Yeah, but you know what? I think what it is when Vinegar Syndrome slaps their logo on something and it goes to a different audience, it's going to be a game changer. And I think that's what it's going to be. And again, you look at Scream Factory and you're kind of like, man, you had it all. And to let something like, and I don't know how all this works. I'm not in the game, right? But Olive Films was the one who put out Monster Squad last. Olive Films' library is being taken by everybody right now because I own all these Olive Films Blu-rays, and now everybody's putting out their stuff. Yeah, and Kino just announced Monster Squad. I'm thinking, if that title was available, how did Scream Factory not jump on that in 2 seconds?
I don't think they want to pay. I don't think they want to pay the licenses for it. I'm convinced they're bending over backwards to get the Rob Zombie Halloween films. I'm for sure those Halloween movies probably cost a fortune to get the licenses for, and they're just hedging their bets. I think that's why they lost Texas Chainsaw Massacre last year. I'm only guessing. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Could be for sure.
What the hell do I know, though? You know.
Well, speaking of Rob Zombie, I brought some autographs out.
Let's see it.
Rob.
Now, Garrett, tell me about this time in your life. I mean, you've privately told me you actually do like these movies. You were just kind of like playing a character online, right?
I you know what I'm going to tell you. I did. I loved Rob Zombie's Halloween. I was a huge fan of it. I think as it's aged, it hits me a little different. But I mean, the one thing about Rob Zombie I will say that I really like is he creates good atmosphere and he creates good characters. Like that's the thing. If you think of everybody in his movies and you're comparing these people to icons, I mean, you're comparing it to Donald Pleasance, you're comparing it to Jamie Lee Curtis, and if somebody says Scout Taylor Compton, don't you tell me that someone in their head isn't thinking Laurie Strode. They are. Right. And the fact that you are able to do that, the fact that you're able to take Malcolm McDowell and people look at him as like Dr. Loomis, such an iconic character. What other remake has been able to create characters that you feel are the same characters? No, none. So that's the one thing about Rob Zombie. You can talk about Captain Spaulding, or you can talk about, all the characters that he made for the Rejects franchise. And I mean, he gets it. He knows how to make iconic characters. And you got to give him credit for that. And that's what I loved about Halloween was as much it was different. It was different enough that it hit me different, right? Like I know most people are bigger fans of the last half of the original Halloween, but I always was a huge fan of before he became an adult Michael Myers, because it was so different at the time, and a part of Michael Myers that we never saw before. And I actually really appreciated that. And I actually liked it so much that I was hoping that we got a little glimpse of that in the Friday the 13th remake, where maybe they showed Jason as a young boy, going through the woods, catching animals, figuring out how to survive before we got into the meat and potatoes of the thing, because I thought that was a cool avenue of maybe showing a little bit of like a precursor to how he became, what he is. But yeah, huge fan of that. I actually brought a couple other Rob Zombie shit.
Did you get the Hot Topic Rob Zombie DVD? You know what I'm talking about? Where you can go to Hot Topic and get an autograph. I passed on it like a jackass. Oh, hold on. Now let's talk about this, because I've always wanted The Devil Walks Among Us, which is from the second movie. Tell me about these books. Obviously, these are the books from the movies. Are these actual books? Is there writing in them? What's on the end? Let me see the inside.
Blank pages, man.
Blank pages,
dude. Yeah,
write a book in there, dude.
It's basically just a cover sheet. I mean, it looks legit, right? Like, and I got these on. I must have been maybe Etsy or something way back in the day after the movie.
Look at the back of the second one. Look at him. No, the other one with the big shot of him. Look at that. That's new Loomis.
So
hold on. I'm still enjoying those, dude. Like those are, I'm serious. These are so cool to me. These are the kinds of prop things I'm into now, because I'm semi-retired from the bust game. I just want different stuff that and these books are incredible. I'd put these in the living room and just store them with the books, and just.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
They're cool. I was big into getting some stuff from that movie back in the day. I was really big fan of it. I have Daig's mask signed in a shadow box. I have what do they call that? The escape one, the orange paper mache mask or whatever. I have that signed by Tyler Mane in a shadow box over there as well. And I stack these on top of each one. So yeah, I think the characters are cool. I like the masks and all that junk. So yeah, I've always been a big fan. I know with the Rob Zombie 2 thing, I'm still not a really big fan of Rob Zombie 2. It was such a bad theater experience for me. It was probably the worst theater experience of my whole life, and it just really soured me on the whole thing. It was midnight, the night it came out. Everybody was amped up, and two things, and I've always said this before. There's two things in that movie that really just totally deflated me before it started. Was when they showed the kid that now was the new Michael Myers young. I was like, what? Because I thought Daig Furch was such a great Myers. Like, he just had that look. And I always thought to myself, all we could have did was pull the clown mask down, had his hair in the front. It was a different kid underneath, and nobody would have questioned it. They shouldn't even have shown. There was no need to even show his face at that point. He could have just had a mask on with the hair, and just, you would just pretend it was him, or you would just assume it was him. But when they showed his face, I was like, oh man, what the hell? And then the white horse situation came or whatever, and I was like, dude, what the hell's going on here? So I always, and then when it ended, everybody booed in my theater, and I was like, what the hell just happened? Because I was so excited for it. Oh yeah. And it was just one of those things that everybody seemed to hate it. So it was always just embedded in my brain that it was just shitty. I haven't gone back and watched it too many times since. So, I mean, maybe I'd have a different appreciation for it now. But I mean, it's been a long time since I've sat down to really watch that one. I mean, if I've watched it, it might have been like I put it on and then started doing other shit. So I didn't really like pay tons of attention to it.
But if they put them on 4K UHD this year,
I would get them. Of course I would. Yeah. I mean, I'll get them. I have all the pretty much editions. Like that damn first one, I must have that on DVD probably like 6 times.
Anchor Bay.
I had work prints. I had
25th anniversary.
25th.
Version.
I have the one with the lenticular. I have the theatrical. I have any exclusive that they came out with for that movie, I had it. So like there was like a Best Buy one, a Circuit City one. Like I have all that stuff.
Now let me ask you this. You know, we talk right now about Scream Factory, milking this, milking that, re-putting this out. Were you as this vocal? Not I say you. I mean you as in, you know, the lot of us right now. We're all repeating. We're all echoing each other. Like Scream Factory is just dumping the same movies out. At the time, back in the day, when Anchor Bay is, guess what? You know what? We're going to edit. We're going to leave this one scene have 6 seconds longer when the light creeps up where Michael's behind Laurie. This is the new edition. Mm-hmm. Were you saying to yourself, fuck, man? Or were you just like, fuck it, let's get another one?
I was like, let's get another one. Yeah, I really was.
Was it because, though, it wasn't a global, it wasn't a, for lack of a better word, pandemic of constant reissues with every movie, if you will. It was just the Halloween thing.
Right. It wasn't everything. And I think too, is like, I'm a big, you know, some of these movies, like if they said, I don't know, let's take it in point. Like for instance, what intrigues me is the Halloween, you know, when they came out with the one where they color corrected everything, they took all the blues out.
Yeah, a lot of people were
that whole thing. They were, but I was excited about that because I actually enjoy watching movies that are that they're not necessarily like, hey, I like this better, but like to have 2 different versions of the same movie to kind of see it a different way. That always intrigues me. So to have both versions, yeah, I like one better than the other, but it's always interesting to watch it in a different light like that. Like if they would have come out and say, okay, we're going to put out Creepshow and the director always wanted it to look like this. So almost like kind of doing a George Lucasing a movie. As much as it sucks, I still want to have both versions, right? Yeah. I still want to have them. Like it's so ridiculous to me that in E.T. they're holding walkie-talkies like they're guns, right? Because they superimpose them in their hands. It's ridiculous. But I want both versions. I want the versions with the real guns and the version with the walkie-talkies just because it's a different experience to watch it. So I like when they make changes like that or they add an extra scene or whatever. Like when My Bloody Valentine came out and they added all those additional scenes in there, even though they looked like crap, to have them in the movie where they were supposed to go was a huge deal for me.
So you're saying if Mac and Me gets the Blu-ray edition where the wheelchair kid gets murked, you'll pick it up?
I will get it. If they make the murder edition, I'm definitely buying it for sure.
All right, Garrett, what else you got for me, man? What else are we looking at?
I brought this specifically for you because you talked about it recently.
I'm so fascinated. Let me make you bigger. I'm fascinated by this. So Garrett, let me just kind of set this up, man.
Yeah.
I'm doing this video on horror TV shows because I'm like, you know what? People are like, physical media it's a niche audience, but it's dedicated. They want physical media videos from me. So that's what I try to give my audience. And I said, let me come up with something different. You know what? Let's do horror TV, right? So I'm doing this video and I'm saying to myself, you know what? It's kind of interesting. I'm doing a horror TV video. I've never watched much of The Walking Dead. I've seen some, okay? And some of it I liked. And I started having flashbacks. And I remember going to the stores, and I would see what you have in your hand. Mm. And at the time, even then, I was like, these are fucking incredible. Who cares if the show's good or not? That's what I've said. That's what I said. And right. I'm assuming you felt the same way. You look at something like this and you say, this is a prop. To hell with the Blu-ray that it comes with. This is a prop. Like, tell me about this. Was this something you just got when you first saw it, and how much were these at retail? Because now they're expensive.
Right. So Walking Dead was one of those shows that I watched the first season. I didn't watch it on TV. I bought the first set or whatever. And I was like, you know what? I kind of like it. And my uncle was really into it. He's like, it gets better. It gets better. And my uncle's very, very picky, dude. He's so picky that I was shocked.
Don't you hate that about TV shows, though? Oh, it gets better.
Oh, he like, but
Every
he like
TV
was
show, somebody says
praising it. He's like, you know,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he doesn't like anything. So he was like, this is some of the best zombie shit I've seen in a long time. And so I was like, oh man, I got to get on this. And then all of a sudden, when they came out with this, I was like, you know what? I haven't seen season 2, so, but I'm gonna buy this because it's so badass, and I'll eventually get to it. Dude, this might not even be open, to be honest. Oh, it is. But like his head comes up like this, and the discs are in
Oh
here.
my god.
And then you got season 2,
Oh,
and you slide it in, and then you
How do
bring
you
it
not
down.
love it?
And now look at this though.
I'm so jelly. Like I want, you know what I want, Garrett? I was on YouTube the other night looking up some of these, like people opening them up when they came out. Season 3 is a tank you fill up with water, and it's got blue lights in it.
I
Are you
sold
kidding
it.
me?
I sold that. I had it.
Why'd
It
you
was
sell
cool,
it?
man. Space. You know, space is the big thing, man. And it was one of those things that was super cool. And it was like, hey, do I either get a lot of money for this or keep it in a box behind a shelf and never do anything with it? And sometimes I just had to make cuts, and I still do that now and then. Like I just sold some stuff that I didn't want to sell, but I'm like, man, if Scream Factory is going to still just start doing this 4K game, like let me start selling some of these Blu-rays while I can. Like, you know, and guess what? They may never come out with it on 4K, but that's the gamble that I have to make, because once it hits 4K, a lot of these Blu-rays that Scream Factory are putting out, like you're not getting anything for them. So I'm like, some of these, I'm like, I could probably let them go for X, Y, and Z reasons. Like for instance, now I ordered the Arrow box and it's still not here because I got it on deep discount. And I did get it, by the way, and it was specifically from your review, was the damn Empire one. And I got it so cheap, deep discount. I got it for $54.
No kidding.
So I grabbed it, but then all of a sudden I see everybody getting theirs, and I'm like, oh no, maybe that price was too good to be true. So I started freaking out, thinking that they were going to cancel my order. Well, I got a shipping notification yesterday, and I'm like, you know what? I don't know if Dolls is selling for anything as the Scream, because I had the Scream Factory collector's edition with the slip and the poster and all that stuff, and I'm like, if I could still get quite a bit of money for this Dolls, I could pretty much pay for that whole set right there.
Yeah.
You know, and I haven't, and I mean, maybe I will, maybe I won't. I hate selling stuff because things mean a lot to me, but at the same time, space means a lot more to me too. So I'm like, if I can start kind of thinning out some of this collection, because I'm always getting new stuff in, then I'll never have to get to that point where I'm like, oh, what now? Because that's that's my biggest fear. It always has been.
Let me take you to task for just a second. Why keep the screwdriver zombie and sell the fish tank zombies? What was it about the fish tank zombies?
It was cool, but I mean, this was just like you said, I never was a bust guy. So for me, this felt like a bust. I have a Planet of the Apes one. It's like a Planet of the Apes bust of the monkey
gorilla. I saw that.
So I have
gorilla.
So I have that. I have the Terminator head that comes with, you know, T2. I have him. So it's like it made more sense kind of all together on the shelf, because as much as I don't have busts, I do have collector's edition or physical media editions that have heads that I'm like, okay, well, I'll just put all the heads up here. So to me, it just made more sense. And I just didn't have a place for the other ones. So that's why I let it go.
Do you think that's missing in today's market, doing these collectors versions of like display versions, if you will, these zombie heads? And
for sure. I mean, the thing is now is that I feel like this community is are like wolves. As soon as the thing gets dropped, it's gone, right? Like I'm so pissed because I'm usually pretty good about getting on top of things, because it's just, I've been doing this for so long, but there's so much now that you miss out on something. And if you're a day late, it's gone. Like I'm kicking myself in the ass because I think I just lost out on that. I'm a huge fan of the movie Duel, and they came out with like this big box set with like all this stuff in it, a steelbook inside. And I'm like, man, that Duel set would have been killer, but it's gone everywhere. And I'm like, when did it even drop? Like I totally missed it. Now it's gone forever. And speaking of that, me and you just got emails today about the damn Jaws set, and we got the damn thing, right? So like, that's the thing that sucks, is like, there's so many people after this stuff that it's hard to secure it sometimes. If you're not like, if you have a full-time job and not sitting in front of your computer all day, like sometimes you don't get it.
Yeah. It sucks. You know, I did hit up Orbit. I emailed them back and I said, hey, you know, what's the itinerary, if you will, or what's the game plan? Are you going to do first come, first serve? You going to check the order list at who ordered first for the Jaws 2? And he goes, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I don't know.
That's bad news for us, I think, because I think I got mine. Like, I don't think I got mine on the first run. I think it went out, it sold out. They brought it back and I grabbed it.
So if that's the case, I'm screwed.
I think that I might be on that second wave, and if they're going to do it that way, I probably will get bumped, I think.
Yeah. I just want to say really quick, this audience is incredible. We have 122 people here. If you don't mind dropping a like, it actually it saves a child. So, I mean, Garrett, do you have something else or anything else, or
man. I got a lot of shit. I'll just throw in anything. This is not valuable or anything. I just thought it was unique. These are some things I've collected through the years. I made a little display out of it. This is the
it's just kind of stuff I like the most. 976.
Yeah, so I have this hanging on my wall. It's like the 976 evil card. It's the invitation to Angela's party from Demons. I kind of created this little thing so it hangs on my wall. It's pretty different.
I love 976 evil. Do you have the Columbia Blu-ray?
I have the only one I have is, I don't know who put it out. It's a slip cover. It kind of looks almost like a VHS box, maybe. But of course I love that movie. Stephen Jeffries. Yeah, it's the one I have. Yep.
This is going for money too, and I thought about selling it and getting that 101, but I'm like, I don't know, is it worth the time to do and trouble to do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Was it you I was talking to that said how bad eBay is now too, by the way?
Yeah, you told me like you sold something and they took fees,
like 30,
half
they
of
took
it.
$30 out of it. I'm like,
you got to be out your damn mind.
I think they're charging 15% now. So, that kind of sucks. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, man, I'm better off just posting something in an Instagram story. And if somebody I know wants it, we can make a deal and not have to worry about fees and all this other crap. And then me having to upcharge shit so I actually can make a little bit of money off of it. Right. So
ridiculous.
It's crazy. I mean, I brought this out. You saw this in my room tour. It's the original stuff container signed by Cohen. So this is actually from the movie, this container. It was from the scene in the supermarket.
That's great. Did you meet Larry?
Mm-hmm.
What a great human, right?
Oh,
Legend.
Yeah. He was at ChillerCon, yeah. And he had these at his table. So that was super cool to meet him.
Let me stop you for just a second, Garrett, because
Sure.
I gotta ask you. I know you're gonna give me shit over this. I take the stuff over the blob. I'm sorry. I love the stuff.
Well, we're going to find out because that's a Rad Pack episode in October, the Stuff versus the Blob, October Halloween episode. So last year we did Fright Night versus Lost Boys. This year is the Blob versus Stuff. So you'll find out what we think about that.
I know, but come on. It's like the stuff. Larry Cohen's got that style. You know what I mean?
Oh, I love this movie, man. I have so many stuff containers. I got one right here. I got one over there. I got 3 over there, all different sizes. I love it.
That's great. Yeah, my wife got me one off Etsy. It's a plastic little tub, but you know what? It looks great on the shelf over there. I love it. But that's great. I love that you have a Larry Cohen one.
Yeah, that's the only legit one I have, like from the movie. The rest are all just replicas, but they came out nice. This I brought out. It's a
holy shit. Is that Ken Griffey Jr.?
It's a Cujo bat. It's got the bite marks in it, signed by D. Wallace.
Good. Where do you get a Cujo bat? Do you make the Cujo bat?
No, I actually got it off a guy that made it. I don't know if he's still around. James Howard. He was somebody way back in the day that was doing a lot of different props that I would buy a lot of shit off. I actually bought the Blob replica of the Blob, and he was doing a lot of cool stuff. This was way back in the day. I don't know if he's still doing busts and shit now, but he was somebody on Facebook I was really interacting with a lot.
All right, before you grab anything else, let me ask you this. These posters, we got to talk about the posters. The posters, is it, what is the gateway poster for you? What happened to make you fall in love with collecting posters and prints and things like that? High quality prints, that is. Yeah.
I don't know. Posters are tough because
to me it's 101. If you have a horror room, you got I've got Friday the 13th. Lost Boys, Return of the Living Dead, 1, 2, 3, Night of the Living Dead, Puppet Master, all the Nightmares back. Like I to me, it's the rules. You've got to have kick-ass horror posters in your room.
I agree. I totally agree. When I first got my first movie room, I had a condo, and I started it kind of there, and I bought tons of posters. I bought a lot of reprints at the time because I needed a bunch at once, like to fill this room up. And I was getting them from a company called like Pop Culture Graphics or something. And these things came and they were so nice. They were sharp. They looked freaking, they popped. I was like, holy shit, these are incredible. Yeah. And I kept them all. And then that company went out of business. And I never was able to find another company that put out the quality replicas that they were. So every time I'd order them, I'd be so disappointed with the replicas that I'm like, I sent them back. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just going to start buying originals. And the problem with originals is that the 27x41s, the frames are too expensive. So it's like I'm in this weird dilemma where I have like couple 27x41 frames over there. all these in this room are 27 by 40. So then in order for me to buy originals, I have to make sure they're after 1990 or they're video posters. I won't fold them. So like all my one sheets are like packed away either in tubes or either in a box folded, right? Because I don't want to spend $80 to $100 on frames for all this stuff. So I am thinking that maybe I'll get 4 frames. So at least back here, I can start putting different things up, just at least on my backdrop. But I think what it was with posters was that when I realized that replicas just weren't going to cut it anymore and I started going to originals, it just gets a little more pricey, right? So now I won't buy a replica, I'll just buy an original. And I usually try to keep most of my stuff after 1990 because I want them to be able to fit in these frames. So that was like that poster game. But then you get into the screen prints, which are the artist drawn ones and alternate movie poster art. And that's where shit gets really, really dicey. It gets expensive and whatnot. So poster game is tough, but it's always fun to get them and get them signed and stuff. And it's always a cool piece to have on the wall with it signed off and whatnot. So, but you're right. Posters to me are so important that I'm not willing to give up poster space to add more shelves for movies. I'm just not.
Me neither.
You know?
I mean, I gotta be surrounded by them. Are we just trying to make ourselves feel like we're in a video store? Do you ever wonder if that's like the psyche behind what we do?
I think so. I think it's one of those things that I just want people to come in and be awed over things besides just saying, yo, you got a shit ton of movies. Because it's either going to be like, you got a shit ton of movies, or they're going to walk in and be like, oh shit. And then like, there's always different things to look at, not just, hey, look at this, all these shelves full of movies. Because to outsiders looking in, that looks worse than when they come down and they're like, well, this place is crazy because there's more to it, you know? They're looking over here and they're looking underneath and seeing all this stuff and asking questions rather than just seeing spines from wall to wall. I think I've got like a real big problem.
When I look at your videos, naturally you'll change out your posters behind you out a lot, and sometimes the one to your left, that Crush poster.
Yeah.
What is that poster? Whether it be an original, print, whatever, for whatever reason, it could just be the way it looks, something about it.
What, the Crush?
No. What is it? I was going to say, what is the poster in your room down there? No matter what you change, no matter what you move around,
that'll never leave.
That'll never leave.
Yeah, it's probably
right.
The Lost Boys one that I have. It's over there when you walk in, and it's probably that. And the reason I have it over there is because my walls the walls are gray, and then as soon as it gets in this living area, they're red.
Red.
So because the Lost Boys poster's all red, I need it to be on the gray wall because it wouldn't look right on a red to red. So that's why I keep Lost Boys over there, and it's signed by almost everybody on the cast, and it's like half of the people on there are all dead now anyways. So to me, it's like that'll never leave. That's like one of my prized possessions. So that'll always stay. And the reason like the Crush one over here stays up more or less, it's not one of my favorite movies, but the aesthetic, it's signed by Alicia Silverstone, which is always good, but I always like to have a white poster over here because it aesthetically matches this white shelf over here. So like, see how like they're both in the corner, it's like white. So that's why I like try to put white. Like sometimes you'll see like my Jason Takes Manhattan one over here because it's white.
Are you somewhat of an OCD guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not asking in a kind
no.
way.
Hey, I'll be the first to admit it. I am. Like everything to me is aesthetically based. And that's why. So yeah, very, very OCD with a lot of things.
Am I imagining it, or did you have Jason Takes Manhattan over there?
That's
I swear
right.
you did.
No, I did. I do because it's white with the I Love New York. So I sometimes will have that one over there because it's white. So again, it matches over.
I typically avoid white posters, but my Night of the Living Dead remake poster, I can't get rid of it. Every time I change it out, I go back to it. I don't know. Yeah. I just love that movie, but I love that poster too. I do
have a white poster right here because I have 2 big posters on this wall. One's Crush, so then on the other side is white. It's Encino Man right there. So it kind of goes with this wall because it's 2 white posters. But that's the only white ones I have in this room.
Bog Zombie says get a Baroque portfolio. I know you know what that is. Is that
I have them.
Why don't you do some videos just flipping through and letting people see them? They'd love that.
Trust me, I want to, and because Sean Clark did it, and I'm like, this is perfect. I just got to find a place to do it because it would have to be at probably my kitchen island or something because I just don't have anywhere that big to stand and flip. Yeah, it's something I want to do. I don't have a 27 by 40 or 27 by 41. I have a 27 by 36 with all my screen prints, and it's full to the max. It's like
you mean
completely.
You mean a 24 by 36 or a 27?
24 by 36 are the screen print sizes. So like any of those like alternate artworks, those are all 24 by 36. So those are in a folder. I don't have anything for one sheets as far as one of those. I do have one for the smaller stuff. Like I have one for 11 by 17 mini posters. I have one for 18 by 24. So all my Scream Factory posters, I have one for. So they're all in there.
Right.
And a bunch of those ones. And I have like, speaking of that, like this size, I have a portfolio for this. This is another really cool item.
That's the art for the NECA toy too.
This is so freaking valuable, and it's signed by Mosley. Yeah.
All right, tell me the artist, is this an artist high quality like print?
You know what? I think so. So Jason Edmondson did this, and he's really well known. He did a lot of Scream Factory and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at the NECA. I got it right there. That's crazy.
And it's signed by Mosley. And you know who put this out was Fright Rags.
They put out the print?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
And it was like very limited, like one of like 25 or something maybe. But this was back in the day. They were doing posters for like probably a year. I have this one. I have a Silent Night, Deadly Night signed by Linnea Quigley. I have a Re-Animator signed by maybe Jeffrey Combs. And then I had a 27 by 40 behind the mask. 27 by 40 full sheet behind the mask, which was done in an 80s style, signed by the dude who was in it. I sold that thing for like $300, probably like
Nathan Basil.
Two years ago, I sold that for $300. So,
shout out Wet Movie One.
What up, homie? It was just because it never hit the wall. It was beautiful. It looked incredible. It was like the guy coming over like a farmhouse. If you look it up, you'll see how great it looks, but I just wasn't, it just never was hitting the wall, and I knew it was valuable, and I was like, I'm going to sell it off, and ended up getting $300 for it. So I was like, whatever.
You could say fucking, I could tell you wanted to say it's fucking incredible.
You're breaking me. You're breaking the gimmick.
Garrett, I got to say, your collection to me is, I don't even know if impressive is the right word. It's just, I have so much respect for your collection, because like shout out to that Lost Boys candle over there on top of your Probe game board, which clearly is a Nightmare on Elm Street 2 prop, right?
Yeah.
Now, where did you is Probe?
Bro, so what's funny, right, is I've always been a huge fan of Elm Street too. And after I made the channel, I always go to like my local thrift stores all the time. I always look for like VHS tapes, or like maybe what I'm really looking for is like the little TVs with the VHS in it. I'm looking for a white one. And I go to my thrift stores all the time to try to find them and stuff. And I was walking by like the board game aisles, and the corner of my eye caught it. I was like, what the hell is this? And I turn, I go, this was a real game? I thought it was for the movie. I thought it was legit made for that movie. It was a real game. So if you go on eBay, you can just type in Probe the game, and you're going to get tons of listings. So I saw it for like $1 at my thrift store. I was like, yoink, I'm grabbing this, and I'm going to put it in my backdrop, because I didn't even realize it was real. Like, it's a legit real game. And it caught the corner of my eye at the store, and I was like, holy crap. I was like shocked. So I always have that in there as almost like an Easter egg. So not many people actually notice it, to be honest.
Oh, I noticed it. It's I never brought to me. I was like, oh, that's a Nightmare on Elm Street 2 prop right there. I just think
so
that
if you want to hide one in your closet, just go on eBay. You can find them. It's probably cheap.
Do you have the sign that says "No out of town scratch out, no girls allowed"? On the door?
I don't. Let me throw some other shit up here, just because I brought it all out.
Shout out to all 132 people in here, by the way. Drop a like if you don't mind.
I got this.
Hold on, Garrett. Let me see this. Garrett, you don't strike me as a Scream fanatic, but here you are.
I'm not a huge Scream fanatic, to be honest, but to have this, like, so this is Skeet, and then my goal is to get Stu on this.
Is that his real
Matthew
name?
Lillard.
Skeet?
Skeet Ulrich,
His name is Skeet.
So my goal is to get Lillard on that knife in red, a red marker. That's my goal, and then have that in the display box. So that's just something that I have like one little Scream section, because I have a phone signed by Nev Campbell, so I kind of have that with it. So I really want to meet Lillard and have him sign it. I could have met Lillard. He was right next to me when I met Skeet, and I was like, I'll get Lillard another time, and I probably should have did both of them.
Well, when he's in Scream 7, you can see him after the convention.
I know, and then his prices will go even.
Let me break it to you though, Garrett. You're a smart guy, right? You're an intelligent guy.
Very. Yeah.
You got the degree and everything.
I'm not intelligent. I'm.
You're savvy. You're savvy.
Yeah. Of course. Common sense, smart.
Common sense would tell you it's way too obvious for him to be in this movie now. He's not going to be in the movie.
Well,
it's too obvious at this point.
I think
am I
you're
right.
right.
Or am I wrong?
I think you're right. I think it's too obvious, but I think they're wrong, and I think that's how it needs to end. In my opinion, it needs to end with that. I don't care if they're like everybody gonna know. It needs to end that way. If it ends on some kind of like bullshit, we don't know who this person is. I think that's a real bad ending to this franchise. It needs to come back full circle. It has to somewhere because, again, anytime you go watch a movie and there's a final boss, it's always like, oh, I knew it could have been him, but then I didn't think it was. Like, you need to have that, I feel like. And as many, I just think it has to end that way.
You want that Stone Cold returning at Backlash 2000 pop when Steve,
I want it was me, Austin. It was me all along. I want that. That's what I want.
We'll see. But yeah, that's cool. Was that an original Fun World Ghostface mask, or is that just a regular old?
You know what? It's not an original Fun World mask, but it's probably about as old as. It's probably. I think I got that maybe like 2000, maybe 7 or something.
Oh, okay.
So it's old enough, but it's not an original. No.
How when the late 90s hit, tell me I'm not imagining this. I swear to God, I saw this. Green, red.
Oh yeah, they had all Ghostface masks. Oh yeah.
Why don't they do that anymore? I don't see those anymore.
I don't really either. There was actually one cool one. There was a couple cool ones probably like 10 years ago that they were doing that were like distressed, and now it's actually that's kind of what they're using now. And I remember back in the day, it was like right around when Rob Zombie's Halloween came out. I'm like, oh, that's cool. They're doing a distressed Ghostface, kind of like they did a distressed Myers mask. And I was gonna buy it, I never did, but then they did like a weird scarecrow one.
Yeah, like a scare. I don't like it.
But it was to me, it was odd. But at the same time, now to go back and like, oh, they are using a distressed mask now. It's kind of interesting because I had seen one forever, like at like Spirit or something like that.
Like, I don't want to hold you too much longer. We're at an hour and 27. I don't know how much longer you can go. I never go over 2 hours, but let me just ask you something. Okay. I was a young kid. Obviously I was cognizant, and I remember this time. Tell me I'm wrong. In the late 90s, Scream, the cool factor was off the charts back then. It's nothing like today what it was back then, the cool factor. Am I right?
It was cool, yeah, for sure. And it really did bring horror back, because even as a kid who loved horror through my uncle, it was kind of dead. And Scream really brought everything back to the table. And for me at my age, like Scream was like the first movie. Like my parents, they were funny because they weren't strict in certain ways, but they were strict in other ways. Like, it was my mother. My father didn't give a shit. My mom would be like, I don't want you to have a CD with a parental sticker on it, right? Like, and I'm like literally like in 8th grade or whatever. I'm like, what do you mean? Like everything has one of these on it, right? Or like, I don't want you to watch a rated R movie unless it's on television, because then I know it's edited. But like Scream was like the first horror movie where it was like, all right, we're all going, let's go. And then that kind of opened the door to like horror for them. It was like, I just needed that like little opener, like for them to be like, okay, horror is okay. And it was Scream, and we went as like a family. Like that's like, how it kind of was. And it was just wild that like you said, it was very mainstream. People that didn't like horror were going to see Scream.
Do you miss that time in more ways than one?
Yeah, I mean, the theater experience to me was such a huge part of my life, even especially like when I became, I could drive myself, right? I was at the theater all the time, and I was always going to those like midnight movies at like, the night before. So like a lot of those movies I had seen, I was there for. I was there the night of House of a Thousand Corpses. I was there for Jason X. I was there for, like those were all huge deals, for me. And I just feel like it's just not the same anymore. But maybe I don't make it the same. I have so much going on with my own life. Maybe I'm not standing there on the first showing excited anymore. And maybe it's a little bit on me, but at the same time, the times are weird. When you always knew midnight on a Thursday was when you were going to see the movie you've been waiting for, that was different. You set your week up based on that, where now It's like, I don't even know when it starts. Oh, Thursday at 7, one showing. I'm like, 7? Like, what the heck? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel
midnight's
important.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah, like that kind of does it because you knew the people that were going at midnight with the freaking diehards, like they were the ones that were like gonna be cheering and stuff. Now it's like, you know, it could have been any group of kids with their cell phones be like, oh, this is playing at 7, let's go check it out. Like, and then joke around the whole time. It's different, you know.
The last movie I went to a midnight screening for was Expendables 2 because when Van Damme was announced, Garrett, I needed to be sedated. I was so excited. I was such a big Van Damme fan. But yeah. What else you got for me?
I'll just start whipping stuff around. So I got these two. I know you've been thinking about doing some videos on these bad boys.
Yeah, I gotta.
But I have these cool signed editions like this.
Incredible. Which one's better? Give me the honest answer, because I know the answer.
All right, I'm gonna tell you right now. My favorite big franchise is just Friday the 13th, but the Elm Street documentary is better.
It's got a little bit of production value, those cool stop motion things in between.
I loved it.
And
loved
it. Incredible.
It's I don't know why. I just found it so much more fascinating. And to be quite honest, I go back to these on a regular basis. If I've got like work to do and I've got like I needed my laptop on me and I know I'm going to be spending a couple hours, I pop one of these on for background and I just like freaking have it going. Like I just love them.
That's what my video is going to be about. Done. It's a blanket.
It really is. It's like it's so like just kind of comforting. You could be in your room organizing and having that on the background, right? Like it was so well done. And I wish that we'd get more of these. And I do have that other one. I'm sure you do. I have the Night of the Living Dead one. The Return of the Living Dead one.
More brains.
Yeah, I have that first edition that came with like a signed poster or something, whatever it is.
You know what you would love? You know what you would absolutely love? It's called Reflections of the Living Dead. It's a vintage Night of the Living Dead documentary where all the great directors, Sam Raimi, Wes Craven, Tobe Hooper, they're all in it, talking about how important it got a Blu-ray release a couple years ago. It's from 1993. Go on Amazon and check it out.
I'll check it out.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Knowing me, I'll check it out, and if all of a sudden I'll send you a picture later that I do have it, but I don't recall it at all.
Yeah,
there was another one, Birth of the Living Dead. Was that another one? Remember, I don't know what that one is. It's a Romero
yes, I've seen that. Yeah. You know what, Garrett? Today, Evil Dead Rise came out. I didn't grab it yet. I don't know what happened. I just didn't want to grab it. Did you not grab it either?
I ordered it. I ordered the Steelbook on.
I want that, but I feel like I gotta wait or I screwed up.
I know what's funny is I could be wrong. It's either I don't think the Steelbook. There was no Steelbook at Best Buy, right?
No, I was confused. I thought that Steelbook was a Best Buy exclusive, and then I realized it's a UK Steelbook. There is no American Steelbook.
Right. That's so I pre-ordered the UK Steelbook. So I don't know when that's coming. I have no idea. So, I mean, that could come in 2 months. I have no clue. I have no idea. Dude, I've been ordering so much shit because I'm afraid to like miss out on stuff that I don't even know what I've ordered. I don't know. You saw the other day, I did an unboxing. I bought like the same thing twice because I forgot. Like
I did see that.
It's ridiculous. There's so much out there. And if you don't hurry and press buy, it's like you miss it and then you regret it. So it's like, I'm like at work and all of a sudden I see someone like message in a chat and they're like, did you guys grab this? And I'm like, oh. Like today, like today, I'm at work and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I just ordered my vacation steel on the website. So I was like, oh shit. So I went back on and it was available again because it wasn't available yesterday.
No, you know what they do? I figured it out. I'll tell you offline. I'm not going to say.
I know what they do. I get it. I get it now because I saw it as soon as I went on and I'm like, oh shoot. So I ordered it. And like, that's the kind of stuff that happens to me all day. And because I'm so busy, I'm like doing it like this, like, cause like, I shouldn't be on my phone, and all of a sudden I'm hitting buy and not even realizing like half the time what I'm ordering. You know?
Your bank account is just rapidly dropping.
Seriously. Well, you know what's funny is that
how perfect is this though? Oh my god,
that's beautiful.
Anyway, go ahead. Beautiful. Sorry. It's
no,
my favorite comedy.
The bank account situation is a little bit of an issue. I had like PayPal had some issue the other day, and all of a sudden like I'm looking at my account and I'm like, wow, I still have a ton of money in here. Like what the hell? I bought a lot of shit, right? So I'm like, so like I have like an online like fitness business that I do, like online coaching where I coach people virtually through like an app. And all of a sudden, I see him.
Well, what?
I look in my, and for some reason, my PayPal got linked to my business account now. So all of a sudden, I drained it.
Oh!
Because I'm looking at my regular account, I'm like, wow, I still have a ton of money in here. And then all of a sudden, I look at my business
doing
account, it was like $30 left. I'm like, what the hell happened? It's just like so I had to call PayPal and get it all unlinked. It was a pain in the ass, man. I don't know how it happened, but anyhow,
Justin Smith, that's like the 100 sign on the Warner Brothers.
Dude,
releases.
all right, let's talk about that because I freaking hate it. I would have not bought if that thing had that thing on the top. I wouldn't have bought it. I would have.
I don't like it either. I get it. Congratulations, you're 100 years old. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, but why would you want that on the again?
Evil Dead Rise has it plastered on there.
I brought these just to the table because we know everybody likes to see this shit.
All right, let me make you big.
With the slippies, right?
Garrett, I'm calling it. Those are not getting released again.
Well, it's funny
calling
because
it.
The other day, someone's like, "If you're going to sell those, sell them now." I said, "You know what? I heard rumblings that they don't have rights to 2 and 3 anymore. Scream Factory. So who knows where where those things are? But I heard that these two. I heard that Scream Factory doesn't have license to these anymore, which means if they come out with a 4K, it's just going to be a part 1.
Absolutely.
I think they need to freaking get it because that would save them to have a box set in 4K. It's only 3 movies. What? Let's do it. Like, what's the problem here? I would even do like a rip off of that damn Red Cross box that they did for Anchor Bay back in the day. I would almost do a spoof on that thing or something. But anyway, like I hate these. I hate anything at the top of the slips, like these blue strips, or like I hate that in general because I'd rather have just a plain image. But the damn Warner Brothers thing, holy crap! I would toss that thing.
Grab those again, Garrett. I'm about to be a dick for a second. This is the one time I'm going to be a dick. All right, now show 2 and 3 together. Oh. Let me see 2 and 3. That is some of the. I know I'm not an artist. That is some of the worst fucking artwork I've ever seen in my life. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying.
Let me see who did it.
Look at her face in part 2. She looks like she got stomped on by Bigfoot in the face.
Yeah,
Pamela is a pretty girl.
The only reason I like them is because they match, right?
Yeah, well,
as far as the art itself, I think
it's 3 turds match in the toilet. That artist Nathan Thomas Miller, he's talented. He's done some of my favorite stuff. I'm no disrespect. That is not his best work. I'm sorry. Anyway, go ahead. I'm never interviewing him now.
Well, they can't.
People want authenticity. God damn it! There you go. You got it.
Let me skim through so we don't go too over. I brought some DVD stuff because I know you've been digging that shit. So
I have been
some cool editions that I just had access to. Texas Chainsaw Meat Pack edition. This was huge. It looks like ground beef. Yeah, this is a big one.
Disgusting.
You like this bad boy?
Turn it on. Come on, Garrett. This was such a fun series. This is what made it the best. Look at this. You got a saw blade going off in your DVD case.
Well, here's the problem. So this was
incredible.
a UK part 4, right?
God damn it.
Then part 5 came out in the US and they ripped it off. They did the same thing. But the problem with this one is the freaking blade doesn't work anymore. Watch. But the games have just begun. God, it doesn't spin. So a part of me is like, do I open this up and try to fix it? But look, I don't even have it. It's still sealed, this thing. I don't even open it. This version over here.
Dude, I wish I would have got that. That's my one film. That's my one film I'm a punching bag for. I can't help it. I love part 5 because of that Italian dude that leads the movie. He's just a bad motherfucker who doesn't like any. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I get those movies where they were stretching thin at that point. I don't care. I love Saw 5. That's my. But
jam. It was a
story.
Yeah, and you know what I did? Like, again, I'm not the biggest Saw fan. I actually kind of get them a little bit confused as we get further and further in. But it was an event, man, and that's what was different. Horror meant something every October. You always knew it was coming. You always made a night of it. You went out to the midnight show to see the new Saw, and it was what you talked about with your friends for the next couple of days.
It was incredible. Yeah,
it was an experience that they don't get anymore. And then I got this. This is one of those big tins. I'm going to be doing a video on this anyways, but I like this because it's signed by Bruce Campbell right there on the top. Yeah. So I met Bruce, signed that.
That's incredible. I don't have that one. I got Hellraiser and Halloween 4.
Oh, yeah. That's a nice Hellraiser, though.
Yeah.
This was a weird thing that came out from Fright Rags back in the day when they first came into the scene. They started doing these cool editions, kind of similar to that print. This was the Black Maria box, and what was kind of cool, and I think I have some other shit kind of tossed in here, but they did a couple things like for Evil Dead and stuff. This came with a shirt I haven't opened yet, a poster. I think it's signed by somebody.
Oh, wow.
It came with dirt from the house. So that was cool. So Fright Rags did all this. It came with dirt from the house. And then in here, dude, I have a brick. This didn't come in this, but I stored it in here. A brick from the bathroom in Saw. There you go, right there. A tile.
Damn.
Remember these suckers from the theater?
No, I don't.
They gave you the 3D glasses.
I never got any in a package. At least I don't remember.
I don't know, just a bunch of cool shit. I haven't looked in this thing in forever. I just thought it'd be cool to bring out. It's got like dirt from the house that was filmed there. This was an expensive piece.
Holy shit!
This was the replica. Well, it's a real, but this is the one they used in Jason Takes Manhattan when he kicked it.
Time out. How do you freeze frame? Do you study? Do you Reddit? Do you Google search? How do you find out the model that Jason kicked?
I had a friend who's very close with Kane, and she posted a picture with the boombox, and he had signed it in hot pink on the top. It looks sick.
Yeah.
I saw it and I go, holy shit, what is that? And she goes, that's the boombox from part 8.
Yeah.
Part 8. And I was like, no way. And she's like, yeah. She's like, Kane gave it to me. And he signed it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God. So she sent me the model number and shit on everything. So I went online, and for years, it was on my saved searches on eBay, the model number, the thing. Finally, one day it popped up, and I was like, oh my God. So I snagged it. It's like called like what they used to call like a ghetto blaster.
Have you ever used it?
I have never used it. I don't even know if it works, dude, to be honest.
How many batteries does it take to operate that thing?
Oh,
does it take C battery? It's got to take C batteries.
Good
God.
It takes 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 batteries, dude.
God damn.
But
that's
badass. It's one of those things that I feel like
living in the city ain't no big deal.
I want to someday get Kane to sign the top of it, like she did, in like a hot pink or some kind of neon blue or something. Like, so I'm always thinking, or red, or having him sign the top of this if I ever see him again. But
yeah,
it is what it is. I have a bunch of Kane autographs, but I just think that would be kind of unique.
It's incredible
to have. I brought some autographs, mostly ones I thought you would like, or people dead. Angus Grimm, which passed away. Man. Boy. Because again, I was lucky enough to go to conventions early. Corey Haim. I have a bunch of Corey's autos.
Wow.
I was lucky to meet him twice, and I got a bunch of shit done. This was pretty cool, just because it has 2 people on it.
Oh man, is that Bill?
Yeah.
Johnson?
Mm-hmm.
Carolyn. Oh my God. Great shot. I never seen that shot before.
So that was cool. I don't remember what I think I was in actually that might have been I went to a convention with Piz. I met Piz at a convention. I think it might have been there. I got that one.
That's a big, tall son of a bitch, isn't it?
He is. You got the both signed Hamilton and Kyle Reese there.
Now you know how unlogical that movie is, right? I'm not. I just agree with me. We'll move on.
Why do you say that?
Because he has to go back to fuck her to have the kid. Like, what are we talking about here? The great James Cameron? Like, what are we talking about here?
I always loved it. I always have.
Like, what the fuck? What's going on here?
You know what, though? When they took the Terminator theme song and made it like a piano into a love song, I mean, that got me, man. I was like, oh, I love that fucking song. Of course. So I was lucky.
Who the hell? What, is that what do you call that? It looks like a worm drizzled on the. What do you call that? An autograph?
That's a nice auto right there.
What the hell?
So Horror Hound did when they had Jamie Lee. They did like a
2012.
Yeah, they did like
it's a big deal.
Small little I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's where it came from. I think they did like a small little like you could sign up and pay and they would send it to you kind of thing. Like where you didn't meet her. So like I jumped on that thing. So you'd pay the price and they would just send it to you. Send you an auto and you pick the picture you wanted to do. I have it. It's got a certificate of authenticity in the back. This is pretty cool too. Now, again, this could be fake. I don't know, but
I tell you if it's fake or not.
So I bought this signed by her long time ago. And then one of the times I met Robert Englund, I had him sign up top. So this signature here, I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't present when this was signed, but this was the image that I purchased back in the day.
No certificate of authenticity?
No, I've done research. I don't think. Let me check I usually keep them in the back.
Well, I was going to say, the second I saw Robert's autograph, I knew unequivocally, because I have Robert's autograph. I knew unequivocally that was Robert. But Patricia, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I don't know either, but I mean, I did buy this. I mean, this was probably bought in
2009.
After that, maybe like 2011, 2012, maybe. And then I met Robert and had him sign the top. So I don't know that one.
She don't do conventions.
And that was one of the reasons I was like searching for her, because she hadn't. And I was like, oh, she's a holy grail of mine. And I found that online. And I was like, ooh, it's a picture with Robert Englund. That's perfect, because I'm meeting him soon and I can have him to sign. So I'm hoping that it was real. Marilyn Burns. So I was lucky enough to
rest
meet.
in peace. Rest in peace. Great.
I was lucky enough to meet
Pamela.
Oh yeah. She actually wrote my name on there too.
Where did you meet her? Did you meet her at a Horror Hound?
Yeah, no, she was at a Monster Mania. I met her.
So you had to met her in like 2008, 7.
It probably was. I think it was when they had like a full Jason reunion, so they were all there as well. All the characters play Jason. I'm thinking this was probably 09, maybe.
Okay, that's incredible. Betsy Palmer, rest in peace.
And this is one of my holy grail items.
Oh shit!
It's hard to see, but it's signed by Johnny Depp.
Johnny?
Yeah.
How'd you get that?
So he was filming Black Mass in my area back in the day. Well, I don't know what year that was. And I was following a bunch of people online that were like going there and like hanging out and getting him to sign shit. And I was like, oh, you know what? I would love to get him to try to sign at Elm Street. So I went down to where they were filming, and he came out and started like signing people's shit. And I freaking threw my thing out there. Boom, signed it. I grabbed it, freaking ran off. And I'm like, oh fuck yeah.
How come I've never seen that displayed? Was that in your video? The first video?
That's in my library on the wall.
I was gonna say, what are you talking about?
That'll be in the next video, yeah.
Dude, I would, if I had Johnny Depp's autograph, every video I did, even if it had nothing to do with that, I just kind of hold it. Like, what's going on, guys? You don't see a JJ here. I just hold it on me because like.
And I think just the idea of having it on Elm Street was just so unique that I was like, I had to get this done.
Of course.
You know, even though it's like, you know,
she's film
on it. He did it in black, so like, you know, it wasn't the most ideal, but it is what it is, and it's one of my grail pieces, I guess.
Talk about that adrenaline rush the second you get it signed and you say, thank you, Mr. Depp, and you walk away.
Dude, like I literally like held it over. He took it, signed it. I grabbed it and I just took it. Like, I don't even remember even like making like eye contact with the dude. Like, because there was a lot of people around and I was like, oh, he just grabbed mine. Okay. And then I just like booked it.
Incredible.
I was just like in and out because I was afraid too that like if someone didn't get it signed, they would like try to take the ones that did like out of my hand or something because people were like rabid.
Rabid.
You know?
Incredible. I didn't know you had that. When are we getting that part 2? I've seen a few people comment that, and they're like, "When the hell is this jackass going to do part 2?"
I'm trying to be
part 2.
I'm trying to strategize a little bit because I gave myself a goal of 5,000 subs by the end of the year, which was a pretty big stretch goal based on how my channel usually operates. Right, it was a pretty big goal. Right now I'm at like 3,100. So in my head, I'm thinking to myself, okay, if I want to hit this goal, I got to plan out when this comes out because that usually will do pretty well for me, those videos.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to almost make that like a home stretch kind of thing. Like I want to see how far I can get through the summer, and then I'll probably release it in the fall to try to give me a home stretch for like the end of the year. Just from a personal, like, hey, I hit my personal goal standpoint because I missed it. I missed it last year, you know, so I missed my goal. So I was like, you know, maybe I can try to strategize this way. And again, it could be stupidity, but everything in my head, everything always needs to make sense. Like, okay, this makes sense for this. This makes sense for this. But it's coming. It'll be here.
It's coming. There he said.
And then I had this thing.
What the fuck is that?
Right, dude. Listen, so this
Is it the
is
poltergeist clown?
young Michael, dude, from part 1.
Oh, it is.
This was a figure that they sold at Spencer one
No,
year.
that's a Halloween product?
Yeah, I'm trying
You
to see
lie.
I'm trying to see what company did this though.
What in God's name? He's got on a US Polo Assassin shoes.
Two, he's got like Adidas. Yeah, look Hold on, what? I'm trying to
Gary
think what year this
Vaynerchuk,
was.
Klaus and Dirt.
2007 Falcon. It says on it.
Dude, hold on. I've never seen this before in my life.
Look at young Michael, little clown.
Are you kidding me? Dude, that's something I would, no lie. Right now as a collector, that's the kind of stuff I'm into. Stuff like that. I wasn't into horror yet. So I probably just wasn't even going into Spencer's to have seen
It was a Spencer exclusive, I think. I don't know. I'm sure if you guys searched it on eBay, you could probably find it. It was a very like random. They used to have a lot of horror stuff in there, like props like that. They had like Billy on a bicycle and shit. Like they had tons of stuff. And I saw that and I was like, holy crap, this is so different. So I ended up grabbing it.
Dude, that was one. It was at the end because that was one hell of a way to end it.
That was the end. Yeah.
That was incredible. That's my favorite thing you've shown. I'm not kidding. I love that. That's the kind of stuff that's the kind of stuff that gets me revved up, that kind of different stuff.
Yeah, it's
how much was that? It was like $60.
I don't remember, man. Back in 2007, I have no idea how much that could have been. It could have been 50, but in 2007, at a certain age that I was, $50 was like a lot for me to drop in one hit. But it probably was maybe like 50. Honestly, I've seen them. He does.
Hey, that's official. That's official, Justin.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm sure you can find him on eBay. I don't know what he goes for now, though. But I would look up like maybe 2007 young Michael Clown doll or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Garrett, what's next, man? What are you trying to get next? What's your holy grail piece? We all got one. I think you're gonna break down and get that Jason bust one day.
There's a couple busts that I'm really interested in, but some of the ones I want are not available anymore. So there's a guy online that I'm really following. I think his name is like Matt McNeil, and he did a Michael one that I'm like, I would pay anything for that thing.
Don't
but
get Michael.
They're gone. Don't
get Michael. Get Jason.
Not Michael. Not Michael Myers. Michael from Lost Boys.
No, don't get that either.
And he just did a whole Fright Night line, and I'm like, I should have grabbed one. I don't know.
What you strike me as? You strike me as the kind of guy that goes and say, "Hey guys, I got my first bust. Here it is," and it's that damn caterpillar head from The Thing. Have you ever thought about that?
I've seen the spider thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. I mean, I just don't have anywhere to put it. Like I have like on the top of my spinner shelf. There's enough space for one bust to go up there, and I'm like, all right, that needs to be the piece. But I don't know. I don't think I found it yet. And as far as like Holy Grails now, I don't know, man. Like there's nothing that's screaming at me. Like there's things here and there, like, Trick or Treat Studios will put out some shit that I'm like, I want this. They're not grails, but I want a lot. So then everything ends up, it amounts to a lot once at the end of the day, I'll build a cart from Trick or Treat Studios and all of a sudden it's like $500. And I'm like, well, I'll put some stuff back.
Yeah.
I think they're doing a Lost Boys line this year.
Yeah. Oh, you better get that business account ready.
It's gone, man. I got to rebuild
it.
I got to transfer funds. I got to transfer funds over there.
Garrett, how often do you stop and just say to yourself, God damn, look at all this stuff I got. I'm so grateful.
Every day. I'm always grateful for what I have. I'm always grateful for, like I said, I'm proud of myself because it was, I was told for a long time I was going to amount to shit. You know what I mean? Like, not for my parents or anything, but like, I wasn't a good student in school. I wasn't. I didn't care about school. I cared about wrestling. I cared about fucking heavy metal music. I didn't care about school. So therefore,
you're a bum.
Teachers used to say, like, I remember them telling my parents, like, oh, he's going to let life pass him by. And it's like, you know what? No, like I didn't. Like I train kids now, like teenagers, that parents come to me and like, can you really help them? Their self-esteem, their confidence, and they don't know what they want to do. And I'm like, listen, it's going to come. Just keep them on the right track. You'll figure it out. I figured it out. People figure it out. When they think they're lost, they're not. And I think when it comes down to it, it's just about getting some self-confidence and taking action on things that you want to do. And that's really what it comes down. Too many people worry about what the other guy's doing when it's like, dude, but if you did X, Y, and Z, like think about how much better it would be. Instead of putting all your eggs on what this other guy's doing, you know, or what he's saying that might upset you, like you take action. But I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to go on next. I think when it comes to collecting, I'm just riding the wave and hoping I don't run out of space and just trying to make better decisions with it, because there's just so much out there now. And I'm very lucky, and I'm sure you feel the same way, is that we started this early, because if I was starting this now, it's a long road.
You're screwed.
It's things are just too expensive. You know, like I said, we're talking about one Vinegar Syndrome title for $40, $40 back in the day. I could have came home with like 10 titles.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, that's my big takeaway, I think.
Where can everybody find you? I want to say we had the audience night was fantastic. So we had a packed house tonight. Garrett, where can we find you?
Yeah, you can find me on my main channel at Born2beRad. You can find me on my podcast channel, the Rad Pack. That's on YouTube as well, so you can follow me in both places. There, you can find me on TikTok and Instagram at Born2beRad. And guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I know we didn't do a lot of chat interaction, but again, when it comes to being grateful, I am grateful for all the people that showed up tonight, all the people that show up for my live streams, all the people that watch my videos, and again, even the people I've met through here. Like, dude, me and Christian talk like every day. I didn't know this guy a couple of years ago. I didn't know he even had a channel until I started this. Like, for whatever reason, he kind of never came in my radar. I don't know why. So, you know, meeting a lot of cool people in this community, like other creators, you know, that I didn't know before. It's, you know, I'm grateful of that too, because I'm sure he feels the same way. And other people in this chat right now feel the same way. Is sometimes you look at all the friends you hang out with on a regular basis and you're like, I'm a little different than all of them. Right. But now you start meeting people that are very similar to you from other parts of the world or the country. And you're like, all right, this makes sense now, you know?
What are you watching next?
Man, I got so much shit. I'm actually considering going back and doing like a full Insidious rewatch because of that movie coming out. And I was a huge Insidious fan when that came out. I loved it. But you know, when it gets down to those 3 and 4s, I don't know which one is which. I need to rewatch those.
You need to rewatch them. Do me a favor, squeeze in them subspecies. I need you to get ready for subspecies 5.
I got that coming, by the way. I need to.
This is the year of Charlie. He's coming back, Garrett. I'm telling you.
Now,
don't count him out.
Is this supposed to attach to 4?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But it's from what I understand. Yeah.
Okay.
He's back. Get ready.
Now, is this like a legit movie, or is this going to be like a 60-minute, like
this
a 55? So it's not like a 50-minute demonic toys thing or whatever.
No, it's the real deal. You tell them Dead Pit boys to kiss Charlie's ass. You understand me?
Back.
Tell them Charlie's coming back.
I'll have them post their video of them interviewing him.
All right. And listen, everybody, thank you so much. Y'all have a great night and have a great rest of your week. You know where to find Garrett. Check him out. And we'll see you guys next time.